Hello and welcome to Mama Drama Trauma Academy. I'm Tammy Taylor, your teacher and host, whose only qualification is having healed my own and successfully supporting others to do the same.
Mama Drama Trauma Academy
is now in session on the topic of
the difference between resisting engagement and loving detachment. Thank you for meeting me here once again and for your subscriptions, female and fellow divine souls. Let's find out what we know about the difference between resisting attachment and loving detachment.
I don't know why. Don't really know. Can't really say. Should I? Don't really know what's gonna happen today. Tomorrow I'll try again.
What do I need? Where am I going? Who am I seeing? Is it within me? Hey, Detachment Channel 4, MDT Academy. I don't know what came first, the MDT Academy or the Healing Oracle deck. It seems like one big ball of hot love at this point. Now, if you're looking for what to do, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube Mama Drama Trauma Channel 4, MDT Academy. Let's find out what we know about the difference between resisting attachment and loving detachment. Mama Drama Trauma Channel 4, MDT Academy. That's where these readings are uploaded. Last time we talked about being in right relationship with ourselves, and we did a reading. I outlined each card meaning for one of the spreads that I use the most. There's a spread for every suit, and there's 6 suits in the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle deck, one for each chakra. And so there's actually 7 suits. The law suit is really a suit within a suit. But for the chakras, and we went over one of those spreads of the 7 spreads in the deck that we kind of focus on using because it hits us different ways and different times when we're triggered, right? You know, sometimes it's going to hit us in the gut and we're not going to be able to digest our food because we can't process the painful feelings. It takes a long time to process pain. Unless you have a daily practice, like working with the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle deck to dissolve and resolve those triggers. So be sure you're subscribed and you get a heads up for your burning question for the week. This week, viewers asked Great Mother, what do you want me to know about the difference between resisting attachment and loving detachment? What is it you want me to know, Great Mother, about that? General, overall question for the week. Now, Great Mother says that the reason this question is so important is because what we resist persists. So what we fight against, what we deny, what we have any antagonism about is pushing back up against us with equal veracity. So we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. And in many cases, we're digging a deeper ditch. And as empaths, we feel this. So today's topic is important because we're talking about effective energy efficiency. We call efficiency one thing, and Great Mother is letting us know it's another. It's not resisting the attachment. Healthy attachment is knowing your needs are going to be taken care of. And we, because of denial of what is in front of us, which is a mother who is not ready, able, or willing to give us the love that we need, because we deny that, we keep putting on her antagonism. We keep projecting onto her resisting. We keep on trying to get blood out of a turnip, using all of our precious energy to do that. You know we don't have much. Old souls, it takes a lot of effort to be in form, because we are mostly energetic. That's why we're so sensitive. Vibrational dynamics is how we interact with the world. And so all of these emotions and these feelings that take up our world have to do with us trying to self-protect, us trying to self-care, us trying to be there for ourselves and not self-abandon, but it's under this illusion that we can heal people without them asking or wanting to be healed, especially and including our mothers. So Great Mother wants us to know that there's a difference between resisting engagement, which is our first go-to. It's like, okay, so I'm going to start putting up boundaries, and energetically I'm just going to ignore, or I'm just going to pretend like I don't feel bad and continue. That is resistance to engagement, or resistance to healthy attachment, because Divine Mother is calling us home to our divinity, which is the loving detachment from form, in order to attach to the healthy maternal love through Holy Spirit, through our intuition that is calling us, that we cannot resist, okay? So that is resistance, Great Mother is saying. Loving detachment is lovingly detaching from maternal expression and form. Yes, Earth Mother is shaking and breaking beneath us. Yes, we are not getting the bounty that we have been accustomed to, because there has been a collective conscious and unconscious. Not everybody's conscious of the abuse, but many people are. The exploitation of Earth Mother has now come back. It's eternal cycle, which in Vedic astrological terms, chakras, one of the symbols that we use in the deck, the karmic cycle is upon us, and we know it all too well with MDT. It's all about karmic retribution. As old souls, we are in a phase of beginning to respond to Divine Mother's call home. But in that response, there is a requirement to detach from the material world. And in order to do it, just like after you go somewhere and you're having a good time or whatever, you got to pay. You know, you have to pay to get in, so we have to pay our spiritual holographic perspective in form, which is a very one-dimensional perspective of life through our biography in form in a lifetime. But after many, many lifetimes and existing in many, many forms, there's karma, or actions in Sanskrit that we have performed that, you know, it's like time to pay the piper. You know, yeah, well, you paid to get in, but then you also have your table to settle, you know, when you leave the game of life, like into a casino. You know, you got to, you know, divvy up your debts or whatever, what you owe. That's what we're doing. It's not judgment or condemnation. It's just as old souls who have been mothers many times, we are being mothered in a way that is important for us to experience multiple times. I know this is at least my 5th lifetime of it, that now that I've healed. Okay, I've had past life regressions, I've had all kinds of work, and it's confirmed within my soul from many waking dream experiences within this lifetime to the fact that it's karmic. Having been the best mother I knew how to be, that's why I can be compassionate with my mother and all mothers. This is a rites of passage. We all go through this as souls. We all have to learn how to mother and be mothered. We all have to experience being the good mother who sacrifices herself, the terrible mother who sacrifices her child, the great mother who does neither. In this lifetime, finally, I don't sacrifice myself or my child, my godchildren, not through birth, but through being a mother, being maternal, being the mentor, being the initiator, of growth and transformation. As a great mother, we do neither because we unconditionally love ourselves and others. So this process of loving detachment is a soul lens. It is a perspective of life through the soul lens, which is what we're all about here at MDT Academy. Okay? So, do I don't know why all of this back and forth is that process of ego-soul alignment that we're always in because we are in form. Yes, as old souls, we have a lot of attachments. We, like old people, set in our ways and how we do things and how we feel and how we interact with people and whatnot. So, Great Mother wants us to be clear on how we are directing our energy. Is it the path of least resistance as opposed to creating more resistance, or is it loving detachment? Because you are no longer resisting how you feel. You're doing the inner work. You are doing your soul alignment work on a daily basis. Being very clear about the cries and the shame and the blame that the inner child has and adapting that experience, that triggering event to divinity identity. Knowing you are being called home by Divine Mother to live our birthright, to be happy, healthy, and whole. How to adapt that trigger, that unhealed wound to the divine consciousness. So how do we do that? Well, here at the Academy, we use a deck Great Mother downloaded to us specifically as empaths with the mother wound through daily practice of letting go of the mother we want in order to accept the one that we have. It's an ongoing process. Again, like I said, for many lifetimes. So throughout our lives, there is this resistance to accepting the emotional reality that we know through our emotions, thoughts, and movement. We're telepathic. We can pick up thoughts of our mothers and feelings, and the bottom line is that we're unwanted. And this constant dance of denial with that is exhausting, which is why this is about energy efficiency. So, we've heard about energy exchange, and now that we know the difference between loving detachment, accepting what is with love, and doing the inner work to experience our birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole by working with what's triggering us in the moment and having a tool like the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle deck that's focused on, and whatever reading you get, the message is always good. It's always good. It's always good. It's just a bombardment, just like the logo, with the head and the mother head, is what we have here at the Academy. But when you get the deck, the logo are those hands, and again, it's the perspective. Is it the bombardment of shame, blame, and guilt that the hands are being thrown up in that logo for the deck? Or is the bombardment one of blessings? Just so many blessings from Great Mother Moon, money, the mood, all of these MO words, that we have having to do with the nature, or words starting with M, mother, community. That ancient symbol of the M means community, those houses together, those two downward V's, houses, roofs together to embrace protection. all of these mother words. Minute represents the moon. The hour hand on the clock represents the sun. So we have this connection with the mother all the time. And with our birth mother, as souls, we arrive here with a very heavy karma. This karma of being an unwanted child affects us with a visceral reaction, again, to resisting this, regardless of the circumstances of being unwanted. The bottom line is we feel, and it is true, that we are unwanted. The mother, or we as mothers, may have wanted to have a child. A child is wanted. But when we show up, we're not wanted. Over a period of time, because we are not aligning with the mother's ideal of who we should be, we're not wanted. So that's really the bottom line here. And what causes this is karma, as I've just described. And more specifically, in relationship to younger souls who have the mother wound, who do not register this emotion, for us, it's not only registered, but we actually sign up to share our mother's misery. As we absorb her judgment and condemnation that we feel, her thoughts that we perceive as our own, as empaths with no boundary, we feel that we do not deserve her presence, her provision of care, or her protection. Now, you ask, why as old souls would we feel this way? Because we feel judged and condemned for all of the stuff that we have done as mothers throughout lifetimes. This is not conscious. This is on a soul level, which is why the work we do here is about soul consciousness. It's about ego-soul alignment, so that we do become more consciously aware of what is in operation within us. Because as we become more aware of this, we realize that unwanted is not only translated as I am unworthy, or even as I am undeserving, as it is with most people who feel this with the maternal wound of a lack of maternal care and presence and protection. We feel the need to prove our worthiness beyond just being a good child, as again, many people do that who have the mother wound, want to justify their presence. They want to justify their ability to care and protect the mother. This is normal. However, empaths take it a step further because it's absorbed as our feelings. What our mother feels, which is her own unmet maternal need situations. We subscribe to it as a responsibility to also feel miserable with her. And therefore, to alleviate ourselves of pain, it is our 24/7, 365 days a year responsibility to alleviate hers. We are always at her disposal to be her toxic emotional dump. Because that's the only way we have any hope of redeeming ourselves, of being free. Now, what Great Mother wants us to know is that because of this toxic thinking, this stinking thinking, we are unable to adapt to our core belief as old souls, our core belief is in divinity identity. Old souls are not warmongers. Old souls are not antagonistic against life. Old souls have experienced enough lifetimes to know that those things are fleeting and that they get us nowhere. Not because we're so high and mighty, because we're so smart, because really the opposite. You've had to live so many lives to learn that. Okay, so we're not talking about, once again, any self-ingratiation or better than anybody else or any that is so far from our conception that we don't even want to fool with nothing like that, because we're here to heal. That's what we're doing. We're here to release all of that. Okay, so we're not talking about that. The reality is, we do have a sense of our extraterrestrial nature, that we are divine beings. At the same time, we are very much aware that we are in terrestrial form. This is what an old soul is. Okay, and so that's why old souls aren't about war, because you know that you want to be doing something better than that. And so we take a lot, we absorb a lot from other people. Very small percentage of the population. Now, this creates a cognitive dissonance. We're going to get back to the loving detachment and the resistance to attachment, the resistance to actually being able to engage with people because of the constant pain as a result of this cosmic calculus, or this signature birth chart of Saturn conjunct the moon. All people with MDT have the astrological signature of Saturn and the moon, be it conjunct in the same sign, any of the 12 signs in your birth chart, opposition, whether they are sextile or they are trine, it doesn't matter what aspect or what configuration. It may be Saturn's in the 4th house, okay, or the moon is in the 10th house sometimes, depending on other placements. But it's always Saturn, moon, aspecting one another in the birth chart. And as a result of this, we see clearly that this karmic signature of Saturn, which is the planet that governs karma and our dharma, life purpose.
Let it sink in.
And the moon, looking at each other at the time, place, location we were born, be it from our moon sign or from our ascendant sign, what we find is limitation of maternal love. There's a restriction. There are obstacles to receiving the love that we need. Now, we're not going to go into the astrological aspects of an empathic or highly sensitive person, because there are several. There are about 5 or 6 of those. But for attachment, what we're dealing with is an inability as a result of this cosmic signature. What I've learned through my own experience and coaching is that we are unable to adapt to our divinity identity because of this toxic thinking, that on this misaligned attitude, thought process, this ego and soul being misaligned and unconscious of these behaviors that I'm describing, there is resistance to engaging with others because you don't want to feel pain. You know, I hear sometimes people talk about the real people, the real ones, the people who are just real people, just good people, don't have a lot of friends. You hear things like that. And for empaths who have to be real because of the heavy karma that we carry in order to function, the more real we are, the better we function, the healthier empaths we are, and the more ready, able, and willing we are to heal MDT. That's true. Because the people we engage with, for one, let's just go back here. We're going to come back to, let's just go back. We're going to come back to being real and friends and whatnot. That's really kind of a secondary point to this karma. The first thing we need to know, and there are 3 things that we need to know about this karma, is that we need to recognize and realize not only are we worthy, but we have this karma because we are being initiated into the astral plane. The astral plane is the emotional plane. Just like the material plane is all about form and manifestation, we have emotions here, right? They're very important, but it's blurry. It's kind of fuzzy on this plane in terms of understanding the operation of emotions. We're not quite clear about them. We become clear sometimes, and life gets a little bit smoother but then it falls away again because form is so powerful on the material plane. As we evolve into the astral plane, emotions become more powerful. And those souls that incarnate on the astral plane, and at some point we can choose, but their emotions are stronger. There's a mastery. So the first point about this karma is realizing we are being called to master our emotions. Okay? This is a call home, and home is not so much past, the Wells telescope going with the Webb telescope going to the Big Bang, the beginning of creation, and this material galaxy. No. But synonymously, it is the internal origin of ourselves that we're being called to go home to. And that's past the emotion. That's into the world of intuition. Emotion is how ego uploads to the soul energetically. Intuition is how the soul downloads to the ego from that plane. You see? Understand? So we are being called to emotional mastery to operate with intuition at all times. And it's a very grievous process because form becomes real fuzzy. It doesn't align with what we know. And the biggest test of all is mama, birth mama, earth mama, motherland. Who's going to take care of me? Who's going to agree with me and be in tribe with me? These are things that we've always known as souls evolving in the material plane. But see it as kindergarten. And that should be abundantly clear now that this is kindergarten. Okay? And see it as your soul is at a point where you're about to graduate from kindergarten. And you're about to go into, classes like history where you have to use your imagination more. Yes, we've done art classes and we've done all kinds of things that were very imaginative and singing and things like that. But it was also a lot of interaction with other students and teacher approval and things like that, and lining up to make sure you learn the rules and the this and the that in form, because those rules are part of the divine order of the universe, and they apply to all levels of evolution. And it takes lifetimes to get them down. So we want to use our soul lens and realize that resisting engagement is not nearly as bountiful and as beneficial and as soul affirming and aligning as lovingly, with love and compassion and understanding, lovingly releasing form, lovingly detaching, letting it be what it needs to be, letting it express, and people and mama and the earth and everything express the way it needs to express. Our survival is no longer dependent on that. Rather, we now realize through emotional mastery, those triggers are not so powerful as to command our conscious wisdom in our core belief that we've learned through many lifetimes that we are dearly loved divine children of the great Mother, Father, God. We've survived pandemics. Why do you think we still here? You know, we have survived all kinds of wars and, again, raising of children. We've been husbands. We've been daughters. We've been, of course, we have been all things. And now there is a life, especially if your moon is in the 12th house and your Saturn's in the 12th house. This is a lifetime of just really, really, really kind of in the waiting room. And that's why it feels like that, but it's not a waiting room of inaction. It's a waiting room of intense and immense internal activation of this awareness and excitement for that door to be opened and to be called in on a real conscious experiential level, which is what we can invite every day. That is the first point, is that karmically, we're operating at an energetic level that will keep us in deficiency if we feel that our journey is not being witnessed, appreciated, or our work is not being served by our mother, is what we hang on to. But when we realize that our journey is our inner work and it's for us to service so that we can appreciate and we can witness the evolution of our own soul, then we're operating on a whole different energetic level. The karma is still the same. We have a soul contract to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence, to have our own relationship with the great Mother, Father, God. That's why no reading is bad. Every reading is good. Every single reading given, no matter what, is a message about the bombardment of blessings in our lives, but we're just not seeing it because our lens has been conditioned to material form, and we're learning to walk between the two. So this energy deficiency as the first area of karma that we have is to release this tendency to languish and this maladaptive kind of stance that we have, kind of being unadaptive. Not that we don't have the capacity, not that we can't do it. It's just kind of this fear keeping us from adapting from birth mother reliance to great mother compliance, aligning with that intuition, that still small voice, that Holy Spirit that's really telling us, hey, this inadaptive behavior, this choice to not adapt. It's not that you are unadaptive, that you can't, but this inadaptive, this choosing not to adapt. Great Mother's always telling us, this is not about you and your ability. It's really about when are you going to be ready to witness yourself? When are you going to be ready to appreciate and serve yourself? And that, again, stuck in that birth mother, earth mother, motherland reliance is always, when it feels good to mama. When mama approves, validates. When mama says that I'm special enough or I'm good enough to do this, legitimizes this effort. I'ma just wait and languish in the cesspool of shame, blame, and guilt until then. This kind of accepting of a life full of emotional bombardment, this triggering, this emotional dysregulation, this cognitive dissonance between the core belief in divinity identity and shame, blame, and guilt, just going back and forth, back and forth, back. Choose ye this day whom ye shall serve. Or continue with the 0 to 10 kind of hot and cold life. And it's not just misery for ourselves, it's misery for others, which takes us back to the second point of this being real thing and not having relationships. We can be real and all of that, but at the same time, a lot of that realness has to do with the fact that we know we cause havoc in relationships. And a lot of times that's what puts us in other toxic relationships because we don't feel worthy of having a healthy, happy, and whole relationship. Because of the havoc we know that we bring in from all of this unprocessed, unresolved shame, blame, and guilt that we're holding on to. Always being triggered, emotionally dysregulated, all that sort of thing. What kind of person is going to want to be around that all the time? Well, we know. And they're not healthy people. They're not happy people. They're not whole people. We've talked about the whole narcissist thing, but there's a continuum between empaths and narcissists, and not every narcissist is unhealthy. Not every empath is healthy, and that's what we're talking about here at MDT Academy. We are unhealthy empaths, and we want to be healthy. And in order to do that, we need to really be aware of these distinctions Great Mother is bringing to our attention, because when we are healthy, our realness really has to do with us being selective about who we call friends, about who we allow in our space based on how self-aware they are. I can only serve so much in working with and being around younger souls, people who are not very aware, self-aware. It's very taxing for reasons we discuss for an empath. This is the reality of it. This is the energy efficiency piece. This is the energy exchange piece. This is the being real second point piece. How much of that can I do without then having to balance my life, work-life balance, with close people to me who are very self-aware, and I don't have to babysit emotionally in order to feel safe. They're not going to go, I got to absorb all this toxicity just so I can sit somewhere and be calm. How much of that can you do? If your whole life is that way, yes, there are going to be mental illness issues. There's going to be, because there's only so much of that the soul, the old soul especially, is going to be able to take without answering that call from spirit. Okay, we're talking about a cycle of destruction ensuing at that point. And we're talking about construction. We're talking about constructing a life that addresses these areas that Great Mother's talking to us about, walking between these extraterrestrial and terrestrial worlds. We're talking about approaching this using the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle deck for readings tailored specifically for us. That message about the difference between resisting attachment and loving detachment is what you want to look at in terms of where you are. And I can just say, just in terms of looking at that spread, I was really taken aback by the message that came through, because moving into our third point about this karma for Mama Drama Trauma and feeling unwanted, why we have this karma from learning to manage the energy of initiation and releasing the deficiencies of MDT to being more real and balancing our energetic exchanges to being less maladaptive, to this third point of allowing ourselves to own our divinity identity. I thought it was interesting that Great Mother came through in the 9-card spread with processing as the center card, letting go. And P standing for the P in Aspire, those 6 suits of the deck, ASPIRE, P for processing, letting go. We're all in a state of processing this emotion right now. Collectively, under the sound of my voice, we're processing this karma right now and really facing the reality of this bottom line feeling of being unwanted by our mothers. Unwanted as being unaccepted or unacceptable, being unwanted in terms of being rejected, neglected, misaligned, misunderstood, misused. And we're really processing that. That's balsamic moon gut chakra energy that we have in the center here. And what was bringing it up in that position is integrity. There's a truth that we have, balsamic moon I for integrity card. And there are 2 other balsamic moon cards, our major arcana cards here for the S and the R, self-inquiry, for the supportive energy that's supporting us right now, supporting us in owning our truth about where we are in this initiation from form to astral. That creative plane where the songs and the architecture and the artistry of sculptures and even gardens and flowers is created. That astral plane where, in terms of it being put together, of course, the etheric realm is really kind of where it's conceived, but that astral plane and it just kind of the fun of that creativity from emotional mastery, just putting it together like a palette onto a canvas, that plane. And that's where we are most of the time, but we get jumbled up when we return our other foot in walking into this world. And so I thought it was interesting. The S for self-inquiry is what's supporting us at this time, asking ourselves when we feel that shame, that blame, that guilt, that judgment, that condemnation for recognizing our divinity and owning our spot and our place to be happy in that moment instead of triggered, healthy, acknowledging the trigger, feeling the pain of it and reflecting on what wound is causing me to feel this way. What cry does my inner child have that I need to answer to calm it in this moment? That self-inquiry, that's loving, self-compassionate, supporting us in this process. And the final outcome, I saw resurrection, that throat chakra, that R in Aspire, Christ consciousness, balsamic moon, throat chakra, higher will energy of that rebirth and release. That rebirth and release is all about the other card set in there, the victim or victor card. Rebirth, that activation of that internal space is the victor. Just focused on that inner work and self being the priority in order to have the energy necessary to be healthy, happy, and whole, and then to propagate it from there. We cannot give that which we do not have. So there's a lot of love and support for us to do this work in very detailed and specific, nuanced ways as we release. And that victim part of us that finds it painful, the cognitive dissonance triggering, we want to be sure that in these seasons of change, and we're now at the springtime in the northern hemisphere, we have our southern hemisphere deck now, and we are in the autumn of release in the southern hemisphere. We're at these rebirth and release stages and phases where we're acknowledging, as old souls, we're the giver, and we're owning that with love and with responsibility for our energy. In a world of takers, and we get to choose how we share our energy in developing a healthy, happy, whole dynamic for ourselves. This is the healthy operation of yin-yang that we see with healthy empaths. We see that they have a very clear understanding of the relationship between the ego and the soul, and their emotion, therefore, that they're feeling, as opposed to the intuition that's being downloaded. This type of energy is a consciousness that allows us to be very efficient in terms of using less energy to serve more of ourselves and more of others. For example, with this karma, we have the potential to really have access to and to manage energy by realizing the macro, again, another M-A word, mother energy, the macro of the energetic grid of the world. Okay, we just talked about the artistry from the astral plane, that energetic plane that we're evolving to. There's a lot of talk now about artificial intelligence. And so since we're talking about intelligence, we're talking about using our emotional intelligence to be in a space of releasing this karmic languishing and embracing our divine birthright. On an energetic grid perspective, we can see that the collective consciousness is the same as the individual consciousness as it relates to intelligence. In the example of artificial intelligence, and in what we're talking about in terms of energy exchange and being more proficient with the reality that we are living with MDT and how we manage the parameters of this reality, we know that nothing is free, and anything worth having is free. We can hold those two truths at the same time because we walk between the worlds. Nothing in the world of form is free. What we sow, we shall reap. And everything worth having is free in the divine realm. We don't have to do anything to reclaim our birthright, to be happy, healthy, and whole. We are dearly loved. Divine children of the great Mother, Father God, who are never judged, condemned, or left alone. Those are the worlds that we walk between. And because we walk between those worlds, we can see that the collective consciousness of which we are a part of. We live in it, rather, but we are not of it. None of us as divine children are, but we as old souls are more conscious of it. And so part of reclaiming our divinity identity is owning our core belief more and more each day and releasing MDT conditioning more and more each day, having less and less of the experience of shame, blame, and guilt, because we each day are developing more and more divinity identity. And MDT readings help us do that every day, from every perspective, every question. I have had days where I've asked 30 questions, and all of the answers have been different and exactly what I needed to know in challenging situations to embrace what is being taught here. And what Great Mother is saying to us is that because nothing is free in this realm, after 30 years, and 29 is the year of Saturn, and this is the year of the internet, Saturn return, with the creation of the internet. Karmically, there has been 30 years of free information. Everyone's biological information is online. Everyone's birth chart information is online. Everyone's likes, dislikes, all of the things we've been conditioned to buy and to want and to love and to hate and to everything has been consumed by the machine that has kept a tally of it. While we, in exchange for giving this information, this vital information, have received the vital opportunity for accelerated communication via this machine. Free, quote unquote, through social media and email. Free accounts for all. Free bank accounts. Free everything. But nothing is free in the material world. So artificial intelligence is the mirror, just like the James Webb telescope is going into the outer edges of the galaxy to the original boom that created the Milky Way. We, as old souls existing at this time in the material realm, are going internal. We have the AI being the epitome of emotional intelligence on the planet. And internally, we know that everything worth having, that is worth having, is free. The acceleration in communication has allowed us to do the inner work that we've needed to do for many lifetimes because we have been in so much pain. We have searched for it and we have found healers. Many of you have found MDT Academy through the internet just by searching and Googling. It has been worth it. These are the types of decisions we are being invited, not made, because we do have free will. That's the law card. And the law card is the third quarter moon card of each deck. Like the balsamic moon is the aspire, the acronym of each suit. The law card, that release card, the law, the soul contract, we have to let go of the mother we want in order to accept the one we have. That internal, that intuition, the Holy Spirit, that's our mother. And the truth we know within is the truth for us. And as we evolve through it and in it, experiencing, evolution is about experiencing our health, happiness, and wholeness. We have all of the clarity, balance, and confirmation we need. When we need it is a different story. We don't always have it when we need it. But if we're clear about the difference between resisting engagement or attachment. And loving detachment, we are so much closer to understanding that we don't need permission from anybody, any mama, anywhere, except that internal mama, to do our healing work, to let go, to be free. What are we waiting for? For who? For what? Another lifetime? We have eternity. You see? That's our power. That's our free will. We get to decide. We are the Calvary. So sometimes this cosmic calculus, this karmic signature, can show up as no contact with the mother at all. And we want to be clear in that situation whether this is a resistance to engagement or loving detachment. I just don't want to be bothered. This is really, I'm really upsetting. And if that is the case, that is the case. We are all processing here. Okay. Great Mother came through pretty clear. We are all processing here. And it's cycles of emotional processing. Some days, some months, some years, it's easier than others. It gets easier and easier the more work we do. And that's the energy exchange that we pay attention to. What we're giving, we're here to give. We're here to let go. We're here to release. Okay, that's why we start with the balsamic moon, the download moon, that intuitive great mother energy. So just to recap, Great Mother wants us to understand that through the karmic lens, MDT is all about recognizing that we are worth our divinity. We're worth the internal work it requires of living and loving detachment. And that's a lot of work. And it is an internal work that allows us to stop languishing between this fantasy hope that, or aspiration, we have aspire, right? Because we aspire to live in love and detachment as opposed to aspiring for our mothers to be someone else. That's just doing the same thing to her that she's doing to us. You see, that's resistance. It's very unproductive, and it's very painful, maddening as well. So I want to snatch some people out of that with this message today. And I want us to be very clear that as an unwanted child in the material realm, it really allows us the opportunity to be free. The time and the space that's required to do the inner work that we need to do. Without that, we would still be having to focus on the material more than on our own divinity. The blessing of neglect is this opportunity to evolve. That's the blessing. That's the karmic lens. Okay? At the end of the amusement park, it's time to pay up. And the pay up is the energy exchange. It's all about this efficiency. Okay, so if I don't pay my bills, well then the rest of the flow, my currency flow, is going to be inefficient. This doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the world. Because my outer world, as an old soul, I know is a reflection of my inner world. So whatever I'm creating in my inner world, if my perspective is of a karmic one, not because I'm stuck in the feeling of being judged and condemned, but because I know I'm a divine child. If I'm feeling judged and condemned, I know that there's some work that I need to do. And one of the 8 lunar phases are stages of the mantra. I am 1. Dearly loved 2. Child. 3, 4. The great Mother, Father, God, who's never judged, condemned, or left alone. Which phrase am I having a problem with? Feeling judged and condemned is the number one. But then being left alone, is up there too. Am I feeling alone? Okay, what do I need to do to be more efficient with regard to feeling cared and taken care of and in the presence of Great Mother? Kind of falling off on my time I need alone to feel that, my walks in nature, my time to just kind of be me. And what is it that I'm really needing right now to make that right? This is the inner activation that we're talking about, so that we can ultimately allow ourselves to resolve the cognitive dissonance between MDT and our divinity. I hope that has been useful for you today, and that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Get the deck to follow along and do your own readings. We're going to be covering more about that as it is our practice. And, of course, subscribe here at Substack, Mama Drama Trauma Academy. But above all and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.
Let that sink in. Let it sink in. Should I try this way again? Should I try something new? Really don't know what I need to do. Don't really know. Don't really know. I don't know why. Don't really know. Can't really say. Should I? Don't really know what's gonna happen today. Tomorrow I will try again. Tomorrow I will try again. Don't really know why. What do I need? To where am I going? Why? Who do I see? Is it all within? Why me? Don't really know. Don't need to ask. Why? Need to find out. Guidance. Don't know why. I was never really encouraged to ask questions, and when I did, I was asked why. I wanted to know, and what did it mean? Brought it back on me. This is all new. I need to learn. Need some guidance, direction. Don't really know, but I got a feeling inside me. It's always guiding me to where I need to be. So where I'm gonna get the information, where I'm gonna get the clarification, where I'm gonna get the verification, where I'm gonna get the clarification, where am I gonna get the validation, where am I gonna get the balance in me? What should I do? What should I do? Am I going the right way? Am I seeing what I need to see? Don't